Hello everyone, you know what time it is by now, don't you? It's Take Home Tuesday, and we are so excited to do a little pillow talk with you today. Y'all need another project to do, right? Well, this one, I say this so much, but I think it's pretty fun and simple and certainly accomplishable in a short amount of time. Now, you're going to have some other ideas of maybe some things that you want to share in the comments. We love to hear them. We love to have you share with us. Heidi's the camera person today. I'm in front of it. So if you are chatting with us right now, we won't have anybody to talk with you or get back with you with a question you may have, but we'll check those later and get back to you as soon as we can. So let's talk some pillows. Fun little throw pillow. Have you noticed it seems like the little decorative throw pillows are in, not just for adults, but young adults, even teenagers. You know, I never made my bed when I was growing up, so I never had all those floofy pillows all over the place. But on my couch, I certainly like to have some of these. And even at Christmas time, some special ones that just come out at Christmas. So maybe you'll get some ideas even for birthday presents for, it could be anyone of any age, depending on what you want to do here. So let's just get started. What you will need today is a pillow form of your choice. We happen to use an oblong one, but they come in all different shapes and sizes. This, my friends, canvas, painter's canvas from the hardware store. Okay, bought a drop cloth basically is what it is. And some old jeans is what I'm using. You might recall on a previous episode of Take Home Tuesday, we did a no-sew apron using a pair of jeans. This is the leg out of that pair of jeans. Maybe you have a pair that has, wait, I shouldn't say this, Heidi, because everybody wears holey jeans right now. I was gonna say maybe you have a pair of jeans with some holes in them, but that seems to be popular. Maybe you can still take them from somebody if you need them. So that's what you're gonna need, and I used my sewing machine. I also used a little piece of Wonder Under or Trans Web, whatever product that you would have that you might want to use with it. So let's get started with this project. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure my pillow. And what I want you to notice here is we're not doing a lot of finishing on the edges, which is what adds the character to this pillow. In fact, if you looked really close, my edges aren't even exactly the same. Shh, it's okay. Still looks good. So I'm going to lay my pillow down, and of course you would be able to find your pillow form size when you buy it. But when I'm doing this, it's approximately about 16 by 11 is what this one is. So I need to cut my top piece about 2 inches larger than my form, if that makes sense, okay? So let's cut our top piece. Let me find an edge here. I'm going to walk you through a little bit more step-by-step on this today than I may for some, because we realize that maybe not everybody understands everything we're saying, and this might be a new idea to some of you, and sometimes it helps just to have a good reminder of what some things are. So I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to cut my pillow form top. This canvas does have a finished edge on it. I don't want the finished edge, so I'm going to use my measurement here. And because I said it's about 11 by 16, I'm going to go to my 18 inch on the ruler that I happen to be using. And again, it's canvas. I'm not worried about the salvage or being perfectly straight because it's canvas. So then I'm just going to come along here and cut it. So I'm getting rid of that where the seam was. So now I basically have a raw edge. Same thing on this side, and of course you could use your cutting board. I just happen to be using the ruler that is on my, or the measurements that are on my ruler here. And so it was by 11, so I need about 13 inches. Okay, same thing here. The edge of this painter's canvas does have kind of a little finished edge. So I'm gonna come in, and yes, I'm going over the top of my hand. It's okay, safety first. Okay, so I'm going to cut this about 11 or a couple inches bigger on both sides than what my pillow is actually at. So we're going to cut this in again. So now we have our top. So this would be my top piece here. Make sense? Okay, For my top piece, before I sew anything else together, I want to add my embellishment. So if you look at this one, I took an old pair of jeans and I literally wanted kind of that, what should we call it, Heidi? Random look, not perfect look. For some of you, if you're like me, it was very difficult to be a little random on it, but you're gonna notice as you're looking at it, in the hearts, so in the center heart here, I just did a top stitch around, but on these other ones, I just did random stitches. And this honestly was very difficult for me because it's not perfectly placed and all of them aren't exactly the same. But you know what? That's what adds the character and the fun to this. So I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna take my jeans here, and I am not fancy at all. I'm literally doing the old-fashioned heart cutting. When you just come around. Anybody do this when they're making Valentines in elementary school? Where I just fold it in half and make the half heart. So there's one. And of course, would it only have to be hearts? Oh no, you could do, Heidi and I had talked about a name would be really cute, or a monogram initial, different shapes you could do. We have the die cut here that have lots of shapes and such in it. So you could do any sort of shape, numbers, letters, all sorts of things, stars. You wouldn't have to even use jeans. I just happen to like the look of the denim. So I'm cutting another heart here. And you know what? Even if the raw edges are kind of not perfectly cut, it's okay, because we're gonna go back and actually fray them later. So I need one more heart. The also cool thing about this denim, and you could use whitewash denim, you could use any denim, but I like how it has the two tones to it. So I could keep them all on the dark side. The dark side. I'm on the dark side. I could keep them all with the dark side showing, or as I did on this one, I put one with flip-flopped. So I have a light and a dark, or a contrast. So for this, we'll just kind of place them on here. Okay? Couple suggestions if you're doing it with anything. Why the little transfuser Wonder Under? What I would suggest is just to take a small piece of it, and if you're unfamiliar with this product, you iron it on. So you would iron it with the paper side up or the glue side down, and iron it on the back side of your fabric, peel that piece of paper off, and then you can place it. Why am I using that? Just to hold it on so that when I take it to the sewing machine and stitch it, it's already kind of where I want it to be. It's just a security for me. Now, if you want to be a little risk taker, don't use the Wonder Under, okay? So I would start with my middle one, lay that one down. So I laid that one down and stitched around it first. Then I came back and did the same thing, a little bit of Wonder Under, trans web, decided where I wanted to place it. You know, you could do the 4 hearts and make it look like a lucky, what is that called? 4-leaf clover. My daughter would love that. She collects 4-leaf clovers. Yes, my daughter and my son have over, I think, over 5,000 4-leaf clovers they have found. Fun fact about the Willets. But anyway, so you could do lots of things, setting these down, and then I would iron these in place after I've stitched this one, and then stitch however I wanted to around that. So I'm doing all my top work on my pillow first. Now, how to get the frayed edges, I just simply took my finger and started doing this with it. And you can kind of see I'm adding some more fraying as I go on that. So it's getting that frayed edge. I decided on these outside ones not to fray it because I was putting the extra stitch on there. Again, creative opportunity for you to do your choice. So pretend that we have this all sewn. Now we need to talk about our back, the back to our pillow. So on the back of the pillow, I have made it a pocket, or there are other names people might call them, but where it overlaps so I can take the pillowcase off should I want to. And you know, sometimes these pillowcases do get a little worn, or the pillows wear down and you want a fluffier one again. So how do we do that? Again, some of you already know, but let's talk about it. So I need 2 pieces of fabric on this one. I personally prefer to go ahead and cut a larger piece. So before I cut it, approximately 18 by 13, so 2 inches larger. I need to add extra length so I can get the overlap. So I'm going to add about 4 more inches just to give me plenty of overlap, because if you don't give enough overlap, then you end up with a look like this, or it just doesn't quite lay as nicely. Again, if that happens and it's on your couch, nobody will see it, maybe. But if we're gonna do it, let's do it good. That's what my mom and dad always said. If you're gonna do it the right way first, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna still keep my 13 because I don't need it any this way longer, or the width any longer. So I'm still gonna do my 13. And now I'm gonna go, since I did 18 before, I'm gonna go to 22. Of course, you could do it a different way where you actually just cut the 2 pieces separately. But this is just a quick and easy way. You could fold it in half, so you're making 1 cut instead of 3 cuts or 4 cuts, however you wanna do it. So we'll kind of get ourselves going on this a little bit faster here. Okay. So now I have that backing cut, and again, since I'm using a drop cloth with this canvas, it works really well to not have, to be so picky as I would be if I was using my quilting fabric or a directional fabric. So same thing here, then I can come back in if I want to use my scissors or rotary cutter, just cutting it in half. Okay, so now I have 2 pieces. That should be overlapping. So they're bigger than my fabric or the top pillow top. From these 2 pieces then, let me lay this out of the way, bring this iron in, I need to finish where the overlap is going to be. So in this case, I just simply, this is going back to your, oh gosh, Heidi, we were just talking about this, how some kids don't have sewing. I was just gonna say, this is going back to your home ec class when you learned how to do your garment sewing when you sewed the first one. I like to do a double roll. You wouldn't, then you have no raw edge showing, okay? So I would press it, give it a nice press, and I'm not using my seam measure. Anybody remember those with the little triangle on them? I'm giving it a nice press on both sides. So there is a little prep work, obviously, in completing this project, but you can see how fast this would go. So after I get both of these nice and pressed and give it a little roll, and get caught up here, I'm going to take this to my sewing machine because I still need one more step on this part. I need to put a seam of some sort on this edge. On this one, you can't see it hardly, but I did a zigzag. I don't even know if it shows up enough, because sometimes it's fun to do something besides a straight stitch. So then I come back in here, zigzag on this, and zigzag on the fold. Okay? Now I'm ready to build my pillow. So here's my top. Moving my design side up. Actually, let me do this differently. I gotta think how I can show you how to do this. I'm gonna put my design side down because we're not gonna do any turning inside out, okay? So my right sides are gonna be out. So I'm putting that out. This one.
But if you were going to have a finished edge, you could have done it the way you were going there. Yep. But you're doing the raw edge raveled.
I'm doing the raw edge so it's raveled. So my right side with my pattern is staying down. Then I'm putting my right side for my backing up. If I was going to have the finished edge, I would need right sides together. But now you can see I'm lining my edges up here, that I have this overlap happening right here, okay? Then you can see Heidi still didn't cut very straight. You can see that's not perfectly straight. This one I don't care. I would sew it from the front side myself, then I would turn it over. My hearts will not stay on there. I just like to see where my overlaps are. I would come to this front side and I would stitch about 1 inch all the way around. So that's what I did here. Now, remember how I said they didn't match up perfectly? I want to show you why that didn't matter. So here's one that it didn't match up perfectly. So that was a little bit shorter than this one. Of course, you can go back and trim it if you want to be perfect on it. But when you start fringing it, it does not matter. So I'm going to sew around my rectangle. Still looks a little shabby, but then I'm going to simply grab a string out of my canvas, if I can find one, to the end here, and start pulling. That's how I get the ravel. Now remember, you have 2 layers because you have the front and the back. So if you wanted to also do a double stitch around, or a straight stitch and then a zigzag to add another little layer of character to it, you could do that. So then after I sewed these together, I just came through and started pulling some strings. We all like more strings, right? And so then as I started doing it, and then if there was something I didn't like or one that got too long, then I just trimmed it off. But again, that imperfect fringe is what adds the fun to this pillow, in my opinion. What do you think? Doable project, maybe? Something you could pull out and do? Fun, fun, fun. I think there's so many possibilities, but I always think that. So anyway, until our next pillow talk time, let's see what you come up with. Share your ideas with us. Show us a picture of your project when you get it done. We'd love to know how we inspire you, or if you are even inspired by our craziness some days. So anyway, whoops, until next Tuesday, have fun, be creative, and remember, choose happy.